welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about why you need to stop living your life like a man. This is so important because so many women live their lives through the lens of what men say that women should be. And so I want to have a real conversation about it. And I want to start off by saying it's no secret that we live in a patriarchy here in the US. And the patriarchy is basically a system of society or government where men hold majority of the power and women are largely excluded from it. And if you don't believe me, the numbers don't lie. Men make up less than 50% of the population, but hold 75% of the seats in the Senate. Women only make up 28% of Congress. They only make up 11% of Fortune 500 CEOs. They only receive 2.3% of VC funding, with Black women receiving 0.3%. What that means is that the products, the policies, the laws, the companies that are created aren't created with women in mind, because we're simply not at the table. There's a lack in diversity of thought, in diversity of representation, and in diversity of experience. So what I want to do is kick off this conversation with a quick video called Run Like a Girl.
Give you some actions to do. I just do the first thing that comes to mind. Show me what it looks like to run like a girl.
My hair.
Show me what it looks like to fight like a girl. Now throw like a girl.
Aw. My name is Dakota, and I'm 10 years old.
Show me what it looks like to run like a girl. Throw like a girl. Fight like a girl. What does it mean to you when I say run like a girl?
It means run fast as you can.
Isn't that so interesting that even women, when being told to run like a girl, to fight like a girl, they use this weak, definitely non-athletic way of being. And it's just one of those things of an environment, a culture, a programming that happened when they were younger about what it is that women were capable of and what women should be. And I think about what does it mean to really lead your life, and what does it mean to lead your life as a lady, right? What does it mean to be the leading lady of your life? And I think about founders right now, women being people who are creating companies, who are really advocating for products that serve women and serve people better, and being at the forefront of that change, and how they're not getting the VC funding needed because there's people in positions, right, to give this funding that don't see the value of the product and also don't necessarily completely understand the demand of what the product is bringing, or they also have these subconscious beliefs of what does it mean to be a woman leader. And so I think about how women have stepped into roles, and we step into leadership roles, and we think, oh, I need to do and lead like a man, right? And so when I think of male leaders, I think a lot of them having this structure of top-down leadership where they are at the top and then everyone follows under them, and how there has been a culture created of loyalty through fear. There has been a culture of loyalty created through secrets and feeling like you have one up on somebody and not really being vulnerable nor transparent. While I think women leaders are now leaning towards servant leadership and really understanding that the people around me are only as good as I am, but also as good as I push them or allow themselves to be. And so how can I serve as a leader to really be the tide that lifts up the boats? And one of the things that people say to women about them even being leaders, right, is that they are too emotional. But now we're having a whole conversation around emotional intelligence and how leaders, right, who continue to go through this ideal of top-down leadership and what loyalty looks like and what does it mean for you to be in a role and play in a role, specifically in corporate, around staying at a company and what people are expecting from their leaders. And they want people who are great people. They do not want to be belittled. They do not want to fear their bosses or their managers. And so that requires you to be emotionally intelligent. It requires you to really know the people who are part of your team. It requires you to be in tune with your own emotions, which will then also allow you to be in tune with the emotions of others and creating intentional spaces within the workplace that allow people to thrive. And so what was seen as a handicap or seen as something to bring women down, we are seeing is important for what people want from leaders today. And so that's the element, right, of leading within the workplace, being the leading lady of your own life. But then that also does not just mean your work or your career, but it's also about your fitness and your health and even sports. I think about young girls in sports. I think about how we are becoming more active and how we are really being in the conversation around sports in terms of volleyball and basketball. I love the WNBA right now. I'm loving college women's basketball. I'm loving Unrivaled. I'm loving all the things as women are continuing to evolve as athletes. And as we continue to evolve as athletes, we have to then again make sure that we know that we are not like men. There are differences, and so we have to honor ourselves in a different way because we do function differently. And I really was able to see that when I saw this clip on TikTok, which I'm going to play really quickly for us because it will help move the conversation forward.
At this point, I've had 4 players in my program tear their ACLs, and all of them were on their periods. And they saying that it's a connection with that.
There is.
Hold on.
Okay, I want to gently add some context here because this conversation matters and it deserves accuracy. Hi, I'm Dr. Sharsh Chambers, board-certified OBGYN, speaker, and author, and I use science to bring clarity and confidence to reproductive health, especially around hot topics you see online. So, women and girls tear ACLs 3 to 6 times more often than men. ACL injuries can be career-altering, and hormones are a part of a much bigger picture that includes training load, biomechanics, recovery, and support. There's also a really common belief that women are more likely to tear their ACL on their period. And I get where that idea comes from, but when we actually look at the science, that's not quite true. Across multiple studies, female athletes do not have the highest ACL injury risk during menstruation. The phase with the most consistent increased risk is actually around ovulation or mid-cycle. Why? That's when estrogen peaks. In lab studies, estrogen can temporarily reduce collagen strength and increase ligament laxity. Hormonal changes may also affect balance, reaction time, and neuromuscular control.
So you can definitely go and watch the entire clip. I'll have the show notes for you to be able to do that, but it's that type of thinking that we definitely have to have at the forefront of our mind, and using what is called cycle syncing for us to incorporate that in our lives, especially as athletes, especially as people who are taking fitness and health just so much more seriously. And it also ties into having women in positions of power, right, where they can say, this is what I want to research, and I want to research women's health, which there is a large gap in women's health research to be able to say, maybe this is why this is happening, looking at root causes, looking at the changes of what is impacting our health, and even a mindset change around what does it mean to look healthy as a woman and to be healthy as a woman. And it's not about looking skinny or being skinny, it's about being strong. That's a mindset change that I am in within this season of how can I build muscle so as I grow and I get older and as bone density changes, I have that muscle to help me out. How can I focus on strength and conditioning and really looking at my health in this holistic way, but also in a way that supports me being a woman. There's even been research done on how women should diet differently, right? Because we are different. There's also been research that has shown that women have 80% of autoimmune diseases, and how the culture that has been created about who we are and how we should show up in the world disrupts the way that we are able to show emotion and really honor ourselves. And so those are just some things to think about as I put forth the table. How are we thinking like men, and how are we living our lives as men, and why we should stop doing it right now because it's not serving us. We've talked about leadership, we've talked about fitness and health, and what I want us to also talk about, what does it mean to be productive as a woman, and how we create environments that allow us to thrive, that are safe for us to thrive in. And it's understanding, right, that if women are in the workforce at a higher and more involved level, then there is something to be done about childcare. And what does that look like to be able to support families when it comes to childcare? I recently saw a company that actually gives a voucher for their employees to use towards childcare for children under 6 years old. So that's before they're able to go to kindergarten, and to be able to offset, right, that, and make sure that you're not having such a large portion of your check go to just being able to have or provide care for your child. That is another way, or that's one way for you to think about how we can create environments that uplift and support women. I also think about making sure that the environment allows women to have breastfeeding rooms. I also think about environments and policies that support women having the first day off when it comes to their cycle, because we know cycles can deplete energy, which goes back to that cycle syncing and being able to honor yourself. I also think about literally just having teas, like you already have tea and coffee within the conference room. What would it be to make sure you have tea like ginger, or maybe a female hormonal tea, just to provide that for the women there who are in this environment, and what that can look like. But also, what does productivity look like? And so syncing up with your cycle, right? And understanding how your hormonal levels change your energy levels as well, and understanding what phase allows you to be able to have more energy. And you as a leader, or you as a person who is working, being able to understand, this is when I will have just a boost of energy. This is where I'll be the most creative because my hormones are allowing me to. And then this is a moment where the hormones are working and doing what they're doing, and I may not have as much energy. And so what week should I be productive here, and then what week should I allow myself to have tasks that are just that allow me a little bit more ease in my workflow, and just being mindful about that and doing the best that you can around syncing with your cycle and just giving it a try. I really want to talk about all the things that women should be, and how you can see how these different narratives are playing within your own life, or playing in the life of your daughters or the women around you, and how you can start thinking about basically the way that you have been programmed, and looking at the way it has been limiting, and then allowing yourself to have the awareness to then make a decision to do otherwise. And so one of the things that women should be, right, is women should be nice. And what this does in terms of women should be nice is that it directly links to that 80% of autoimmune diseases, and the culture around how women need to act to be accepted. And when you are nice, 9 times out of 10, that means that you are putting the emotional needs of others before yourself. You are not allowing yourself to feel anger. 9 times out of 10, you are suppressing it. And that's just so unhealthy for your body. And so we have to do something differently, because nice women, they don't make history. They just go with the status quo. But the status quo is unhealthy, and the status quo is limiting for women. So many times, especially women who are in the workplace, they think playing nice and saying yes to the extra work is what's going to get them the raise, or is going to get them the opportunity to be in the next position at the next level. But it doesn't. It just gets you more work from people who weren't competent enough to do it, or didn't want to do it because they know that you are going to get it done. Another thing that I see women express, another thing that women have been told that they should be is sorry. There are so many times that I'm in the grocery store and I see women in the aisle doing what they're doing, and someone may need to pass by them or need to grab something that is in front of them, and they will hurry up and move out of the way and say sorry. Women have been taught to be sorry since they were little girls. And telling someone, I am sorry for you occupying space, is just so wrong, but it's what you've been taught. You've been taught that your existence is almost an inconvenience. And so you need to move. You need to try to make space for other people, when if you were there, you were there. And there is nothing to be sorry about. And if this story resonates with you, remove sorry from your vocabulary when you are simply just taking up space. You are allowed to take up space. And if you have a young lady in your life and you hear her say sorry, you tell her that she has nothing to be sorry about. Like, what are we being sorry about? Allow them to take whatever they need to get, slide over just as anybody else would. Remove sorry from your vocabulary, because your existence is not an inconvenience, it is necessary to this world. Another thing that women are taught that they should be is motherly. Every girl should dream of getting married and having children and taking care of those children. And those are the only dreams that young girls are allowed to have. They aren't allowed to dream about the career that they might want to have one day, or the trips, the policies or laws that they might write, or the companies that they might run. That's not what they're taught to dream about. They're taught to be a mother. And so there is this expectation that you should have children by a certain age. And if you don't have children, then what are you doing with your life? That it's one of those things where you just have to be a mother, or you don't bring any value to this world. But people birth different things. Some people birth children, other people birth ideas, other people birth books, and other people birth companies. The point is that you are creating something, and it does not have to be a child. But even as I talk about mothering, in mothering, there is a certain level of care. There is a care that everybody should learn to have. All of us, including boys, should learn how to take care of children. They should learn how to take care of others. They should learn how to cook, and they should learn how to clean, because that is just a basic need that you should know how to do while living. And it shouldn't be skills that are only taught or looked at to be have by young girls or by women, but by all of us. If I ever have children and I so happen to get my child a Baby Alive doll, guess who, and it's a girl, guess who also will be getting a Baby Alive doll? My sons. Because everyone needs to understand how to care for a child, because the responsibility of a child and taking care of that child does not just fall on mothers. It falls on the mother, the father, and hopefully their extended village. But you do not have to be a mother to be a woman. And that's something that we also have to think about and truly have a conversation around. And as I say that, right, of everybody understanding how to take care and everyone understanding how to mother, quote unquote, someone, I also believe that women have a responsibility of understanding taxes. You also have a responsibility of understanding what does it mean to get the oil change and get the tags. Women should know how to do those things as well. And then what you do if you do have a partner is just understanding who has the responsibility. But even if it's not your responsibility within your household, it doesn't mean that you don't know how to do those things. Which really ties along with the next thing of women should be kept. Let me tell you, there's no kept women around here. You always should have your own bag. You should always have your own income, because for so long, women did not have that. It wasn't until 1962 that women in Cali were able to open up bank accounts, and as I say, Cali, California. And then it wasn't until 1974 where that was a expectation across the board. When you're able to have your own money, you're able to make your own decisions, and there is a freedom, there's financial freedom tied to you being able to live the life that you want to live. And it literally makes me think about that Cher quote of Cher saying, I am a rich man. And her saying that to her mom, and even as it lives right in the world and lives on the internet, it's one of those things of, I am not looking towards anybody to be responsible for the life that I want to live. So we are on the last two, which is women should be strong, especially Black women. There is this myth around having a higher pain tolerance. There is this myth, right, that ties into you should be the caretaker. And so if you're taking care of your family, but then you're also taking care of your parents, and then you're also taking care of yourself, it's very easy for self to get put on the back burner, and it's so much weight that you have to carry in terms of the household, but then also the career that you have, and then also your community. And all of it can just really be a lot, and you're just supposed to carry it all. When in reality, no one is supposed to have that much weight on them. And so that's where there should be very just transparent conversations about what are the responsibilities that you have on your plate, and what does it look like to be able to alleviate some of those responsibilities. What leads us to the last woman should be, which is women should be unambitious. I think about women being unambitious and being told, you are able to have these careers, but don't do too much. You want to go into the medical field? Okay, go be a nurse, but don't you dare decide to be a doctor. You want to be in politics? Okay, you can run at your local level, but don't you dare think that you can come up in here and be a senator. And what the call out really is that women shouldn't be too ambitious. They shouldn't dream about the jobs that they believe are reserved for men, and that they need to wait until the world is ready to welcome women into these positions. But the truth is, they may never be ready. So that doesn't mean that you shouldn't take your chance. And as Shirley Chisholm has said, bring a folding chair to the table. And as I wrap up all the things about what women should be, I really want you to think about these ideals and if they are something that are actively working right now in your mind and in your programming, which leads to my final question of this video, which is, who do you define yourself to be? And I think about Audre Lorde and In Her Brilliance, and the quote of, if I didn't define myself for myself, I would be crushed into other people's fantasies and eaten alive. And I don't want you to be eaten alive. I want you to really think about the different belief systems that you are carrying and ask yourself if they keep you limited or limitless. That's the question to ask yourself as you are defining yourself, which is the most important thing that you can do. I really hope you all enjoyed the video. If you want to see more content like this, let me know what you all want to talk about. But thank you for joining me. Make sure you look at the show notes. And if you are someone who is ready to demystify those limiting beliefs that you are carrying, check out my Raise the Bar course on sale right now with a special code that you can find in the description. Until next time, be limitless.